What's up guys, I'm Carl with an SPC, and today I'm going to be running a Mayhems Blitz kit through some of my parts, and I figured I'd make this quick video to kind of show you how to do this and what's involved, as well as the kind of loop setup you have to set up here to do this sort of thing. Mainly the Mayhems Blitz kit is for cleaning your parts. It's going to run I'm gonna run the part 2 of the kit, which is sort of like a heavy duty dish soap almost. It creates a lot of foam. It's highly soapy, and it's gonna run through all of these parts here to kind of clean out the existing fluid, so everything is clean on the inside, especially that radiator, when you're ready to use the parts again in another build. So I have the loop sort of halfway set up here. I've cut a couple of tubes already. I'm using just some regular soft tubing and barb fittings here. I use the PrimaFlex flexible tubing. You can buy this stuff, I think it's like 20 feet for, I think it's like 25 bucks. So I usually use this for most of my cleaning and maintenance on the water cooling parts. And then I bought these real cheap XSPC barb fittings. I think these were like 13 bucks for 6 of them. So just real cheap, and basically that's what they look like there. There's really nothing to them. And I'm gonna be running this loop here and then filling it with the solution, and I'll kind of give you an idea of run time. Is, they say 16 to 24 hours. You could leave this on for a day with the fluid running through the parts, just to make sure that everything's clean. It'll basically look like soap running through there for about a day or so, and then you run distilled water through it. You flush it probably 3 times would be good to flush it and let everything get fresh distilled water running through it before you empty it for good. So I'm gonna set up the rest of this loop, fill it with the solution, and kind of give you an idea of what it looks like here. So yeah, let's do it. So basically, I'm gonna measure a good length of tubing here, and I'm gonna measure a good length of tubing and just cut it with this regular knife. There is a cutter for this tubing. I don't have one. It is something you can buy, I think, at like Home Depot or Harbor Freight, regular hardware stores. This kind of works for what I'm doing. I don't need the cuts to be perfect. I'm not using this to fill a system with anything. It doesn't have to look good at all. And basically, you just kind of, I have the fitting screwed onto the blocks here, and you just sort of push them onto the barbs, like so. This one's gonna be a little stiff. And like that. So you just want to make sure it's all the way on there. It's not, the pump isn't so high powered that it's going to bust the fittings off or anything. I mean, it's not a very high powered deal here. This knife is just so dull for me doing this so many times. I've done this in all my systems. I run this through all my loops after I pull the parts out of the system. And mainly, this stuff is really good for getting all that dust out of the Primo Chill fluids. I used a Mayhems Pastel this last time, so I don't expect it to have a lot of buildup. I ran it for a couple weeks in the system, but yeah, this is the completed loop. I'm going in the CPU block, the GPU block, and lastly the radiator back into the pump. So now I'm going to mix the fluid and fill it, and then hook up my pump to a tester PSU I have over here plugged into the wall. So we'll do that now. Alright, so this is what the part 2 Blitz fluid looks like. Basically, you mix 25 milliliters of this stuff here into, I think it's 4 cups of, it's 975 milliliters, and I think that's 4 cups of just distilled water. And basically I have it mixed up in this fluid, this just regular fluid bottle, which I used to fill all my loops with. And now I'm going to put this into the pump and shut it on and off a couple times so it can pump through the components. And then once it's full, I'm gonna let it run for about a day. I do have it hooked up to a tester PSU through Molex down here, and basically you'll need a power supply. Just any power supply will do, nothing special. But you'll need a to put a 24 pin jumper on here, which I'm gonna do now, so that way that power supply will actually turn on, and because the PSU won't turn on without something in the 24 pin. So I'm gonna put a jumper on here now and turn on the pump with a little bit of fluid in it a couple times. And you can see I have to refill it a couple times. And this is a Molex powered pump, so that's really all you need to plug into the PSU. The rest of these cables are for RGB and PWM purposes. Looks like one of my fittings is leaking on the CPU block. Just a little bit. I'm gonna have to tighten it. So there it is. I have the loop running now. It is super foamy. You can see it in the blocks, and even in the pump and tubes. I mean, it's really foamy. It's gonna clean out all of the excess fluid and any kind of buildup, any kind of residue, hard water, all that stuff. This is the part 2 of the kit. So this is actually what the kit looks like, and what you get in here is a set of gloves, instructions. Now there's a part 1 and a part 2. So this is the part 1, and I actually haven't used this one yet. This is still unopened, but basically this is really heavy acid. This is for like slime, rust. This is for really hardcore loops that have been sitting probably for years with no treatment, and yeah, you would run this acid through there. And then this is the part 2, which what I'm using now, which is more of like a mild soap. And you'd use this for just basic maintenance, sort of, just to kind of, if the fluid hadn't been in too long but you see a little bit of buildup, this will get it out. Now this isn't for slime or rust or anything like that. You won't see any results with as far as slime or rust build up with this part 2. And so those are the two you get, 2 parts of the kit you get. And then this is a set of goggles, because with the first set, or with the first part, it's really heavy on acid, and you're gonna not want to get any of that on you, in your eyes, in your hands, things like that. So this is gonna run for, I'll run it for a day, even though it probably doesn't need to be ran that long. I'll run it for a day and put some distilled water in it and keep running it. The foam will die down eventually in the lines, and it will become more clear, and you'll be able to fill the pump up a little bit more once the foam kind of settles. If you're using a pump that has a top with a opening on it and it'll stand up, basically you can leave the top open and the air will get out of it a little bit quicker than closed loop like this. But that's kind of it for this video. This is real quick. I was just gonna show y'all how I clean my loops, what I use, what the procedure is, and yeah, stay tuned for another video. Subscribe if you like PC water cooling content like this, and I'll catch y'all next time. Peace out.